Warning, this video will contain Ben Shapiro's voice. I'm going to show you a clip from Some More News hosted by Cody Johnson. The video is titled How Ben Shapiro Pretends Nothing Can Be Done About Systemic Racism. I don't have much of Cody's commentary in here. It's mainly just to remind me to encourage anyone who hasn't watched it to go watch that video and anything else by Some More News. It's great. Because this clip, the clip that Cody uses for his video and what I want to comment on, is Joe Rogan interviewing Ben Shapiro. And I just want to quickly note that the Fear Factor fight announcer comedian guy absolutely destroys the cool kids philosopher. Just wanted to add that. And yeah, this is pretty much a clip of Joe Rogan politely body slamming Ben Shapiro, which I got from a video of Cody Johnson pretty much punching Ben Shapiro in the face. You must go watch. And then I'm just going to come along and kick Ben Shapiro right in the shin.
It's kind of fun to watch him squirm.
The way to fight against that is to make good decisions. And so you fight against the system to make sure that the system has rules that apply equally to everyone.
Right, but you clearly see that there's a big difference between people coming over here willingly and doing so in order to better their lives versus someone whose ancestors were dragged over here to be sold as property, and then dealing with the repercussions of that being your family history. And red line laws and all the other things that were put in place to sort of keep them in very specific areas, which to this day remain crime-ridden, gang-ridden, deeply impoverished communities.
Well, that's true, but the question is how much of that is historic redlining and how much of that is an 18-year-old kid today deciding to pick up a gun and shoot somebody?
But how much of that 18-year-old kid today deciding to pick up a gun and shoot somebody is based on him growing up in this fucked up environment where that's what he models, where everything around him is crime and gangs, and you imitate your atmosphere, which is what all humans do.
Right, but the answer is there's only one way to break that chain.
What way is that?
That way is to not pick up a gun and shoot somebody.
I think that's a simplistic way of looking at it if you're on the outside of that community and you're not one of those 18-year-old kids that grows up with the incredible influence of all the people around him, and that's all you see, and that's all you know.
Well, but the problem is the only way that's going to be the thing that your kid doesn't know is for you not to do it. At some point, personal agency has to come in.
It does,
because
education and teaching them about personal agency and letting them understand that there's a way out of this and that the path that they see being replicated over and over again by these people that wind up dying young, that wind up going to jail, that there are other options.
Oh, sorry.
18-year-old kid today deciding to pick up a gun and shoot somebody.
And that's the bit I want to talk about. That's the bit this video is going to be about. And yeah, Joe Rogan does an okay job pushing back, and then Cody does an outstanding job annihilating all the bullshit that comes out of Ben's mouth. I don't know what possessed the dude to bring up guns to try and push his no such thing as systemic racism propaganda. Alright, let's do this. Okay, during my research for this, I came across some tweets with the hashtag white supremacist terrorism, and this tweet by Post Secret, which I think marries together what Cody's video is about and what my video is about pretty nicely. I'm like, oh look Ben, there's some more of that stuff you don't think exists. And it says a black guy who illegally sold cigarettes and a white guy who killed 20 people, white supremacist terrorism, and it has side-by-side images of Eric Gardner and then the El Paso shooter. And then, oh, look at this one. White supremacist terrorism is terrorism and should be treated as such. It is an evil scourge that must be rooted out and destroyed. Right on, Ben. They've murdered young socialists in Norway, Muslims in Christchurch and Finsbury Park, Jews in Pittsburgh and Poway, black worshippers in Charleston, and now Latinos in El Paso. Far-right terror is growing and it's being fueled by the powerful. Hashtag white supremacist terrorism. And that's a tweet by Owen Jones. And now on to the next tweet. Evidence presented at the sentencing hearing this morning includes a list of some of the Twitter accounts he was checking in the month before he killed 6 men in a Quebec City mosque. And that tweet, of course, had the list. And now let's have a look at it from the bottom up. We got Robert O'Neill, Ben Dominique, J. Owen Schroyer, Steve Barron, Neil Turner, James Allsop, Trump Front Press, Alt-Right News, John Sexton, Stefan Molyneux, Brett Bayer, Breitbart, Gavin McInnes, Laura Ingram, David Duke, Kellyanne Conway, Alex Jones, Mike Cernovich, Ann Coulter, Paul Joseph Watson, Richard B. Spencer, Baked Alaska, Tucker Carlson, John Nolte, and Ben Shapiro. Up the top with 93, an 18-year-old kid today picking a gun up and shooting somebody. Personal agency. Really stunning. Well, you said 18-year-olds. What about them people that shut up schools like Stoneman Douglas High School or Sandy Hook Elementary or Columbine? What did all of those shooters have in common? That is right, their skin color. What about when it's not a school? How about when it's a movie theater like Aurora or a music concert like in Las Vegas? Yep, more white guys. And which brings me to the places of worship, which is amazing. Because while Ben Shapiro is saying shit like this
18-year-old kid today deciding to pick up a gun and shoot somebody
about people in the black community, he's inspiring white supremacist people to go shoot up churches in black communities, mosques all over the world, and the most stunning part, Ben Shapiro, the Jewish man, seems to not understand that the white supremacy umbrella has in it groups like the KKK and fucking Nazis. So you're gonna have people shooting up synagogues as well. And that's why I'm the most amazed by his choice of words here, where he's gonna go push that there's no such thing as systemic racism propaganda, and he wants to bring up guns. Or it may just be my outsider perspective, but now at this point, when I think of the US and I think of guns, I'm not picturing them in the hands of people of color. I'm telling you, I'm thinking of AR-15s in the hands of some white incel kid on his way to his high school, or on his way to somewhere with a race that he's been brainwashed into hating. So this video is just to point that out, because the two Americans did an okay job and then a great job at pushing back on the topic they were discussing, systemic racism. But I just had to take issue with how he decided to go with an 18-year-old picking up a gun and going to shoot someone. Final note, it's just amazing because all the issues that America has with race, guns, everything that is the obvious issue, Ben denies even exists half the time, but will fearmonger and bait people into going after people with no power. Thanks for coming. Go watch some more news, and fuck you, Ben Shapiro.